Okay, y'all ready? I want to build my tolerance and finesse my experience. How do I do that? I'm so glad you asked. Let me give you this list, baby. First of all, you want to eat in waves because it's a great way to have the experience, but to also stretch that experience out over a longer period of time, because you're going to roller coaster how you feel. You're going to roller coaster the ups and the downs. And you know, it's the same way with an edible. You wanna go up, then you wanna come down. Then you wanna go up, then you wanna come down. Spread it out over the course of like maybe 1 and 3 hours. Spread it out. Eat a little bit here, eat a little bit there. The more you eat, the higher you're gonna get. But if you eat it in waves, you can eat a lot more over time, and you won't be like super high as shit out your mind. But you will feel the difference in your levels of highness. So that's 1. 2, you can also eat on a less full stomach, right? So whatever you're gonna do, be on more of an empty stomach when you do it. That will not only build your body's tolerance, your body will be more accustomed to it, but then also too, you'll start to understand that less is actually more. There are a lot of different ways to do this, right? You could eat the same amount on a less full of a stomach. That's 1. You could eat a small amount and chase it with something like lemon water. That way it'll up your experience. It's not up in the total amount that you consume. That's a plug too. A third finesse could be to eat your regular amount and still chase that with something that's acidic. Okay, so I done gave y'all 3 methods on how to turn that up, right? The next solution is that you can eat stronger shrooms. Now, a lot of people are like, how do I know what's strong and what's not? So a good number of psychedelic mushrooms have what's called potency charts. You can look those up. They're very useful. You can find them on Google, but you need to know the name of what you're eating. The second part is that for me personally, I'm still learning, I'm still growing in understanding like the rankings and like the strength of different mushrooms. And I also think it has a lot to do with your body. So most recently, I have been consuming majority penis envy. Different types of penis envy. You could clone them, you could, mix them with other stuff, and like you could take a part of this and a part of this and put it together. It's like when you breeding dogs, right? You can take a Chihuahua and you can take a German Shepherd. Same way you can breed animals and breeds of dogs, you can also breed different strands of mushrooms together. I feel like once you start getting more familiar with different strands of mushrooms and you try them and you see how they are for your body, you'll get the hang of like, okay, this is good, this is good. Now, some of the super strongest strands of mushrooms that I have ever heard of: penis envy, albino penis envy. There's one called a silverback, there's one called a gray 8, there's one called a Jedi, and I think pink buffaloes are really strong as well, but I have not tried those, so I'm not 100% sure on those. Don't quote me, but definitely put it on your list, look it up in your spare time. So yes, you can definitely eat stronger strands of mushrooms, and that will get you to where you want to be, but you need to know what you're eating. You need to know who you getting this shit from, because safety first. And if you don't know and you can't identify the shit and it don't look familiar to you, you might want to slow down on that. You shouldn't even be buying shit from people who don't care. I will say that. If you gonna ever buy drugs, you buy drugs from somebody who cares. And I was told that by somebody who sell crack. So yeah, he like, if you ever choose to do drugs, buy drugs from somebody who cares. That's all I can tell you. I think that's a great rule of thumb. I don't do crack, I don't do cocaine, I don't do anything of that nature. That was some good advice. Very solid. Another way to build your tolerance and finesse your experience is to decrease your consumption window. So basically, whatever you're gonna eat, the opposite of spreading it out. So at first you might have been eating 2 grams over the course of 4 hours. Decrease that window. Eat them 2 grams in 2 hours. Eat them 2 grams in an hour and a half. Give yourself space and scale up as you feel ready. And that's over time. That's not in the same day, right? So let's say the first time I decrease my window, I eat 2 grams in 3 hours. And the next time I do it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do 2 grams in an hour and a half. And that's what I mean by decrease the window and scale up. Next on the list, another way, try chocolate. Chocolates are really beginner friendly, but I will say this: the ratio of chocolate to psychedelics is gonna matter. A lot of people are getting the taste wrong when it comes to psychedelic chocolate, because I don't know, like maybe they taste buds just different and they shit ain't wired correctly, right? Of all the chocolates that I've tried, it's really only been 2 chocolates that I liked, and I've had quite a bit of chocolate. Some of them was like, oh, it's a 3.5 in this chocolate bar. I did not feel a fucking thing. Do you hear me? And on top of that, it was real gritty. It was like, oh, it was so bad. 0 out of 10, do not recommend. And I was also told that the 1-Up mushroom bar that they be selling in Cali, I heard that shit was gross, and it wasn't worth the $60 that people was spending on it to try it. But shit, after you already ate it, what you gonna do? Take it back? No, you can't do that. You already spent your $60, they made their money, and now you disappointed in your will. Hate that for y'all. So I would not recommend that shit at all. And that review came from a person who made shroom chocolate that I actually enjoyed and felt a buzz off of. Like, I could feel the effects off of it. So that should tell you that right there. I know I'm giving y'all all these tips, but I also want y'all to consider, like, why do you even want to build your tolerance? I want y'all to answer that question. Me personally, I want to build my tolerance so that while I'm testing functionality, I can build my confidence as well. Like, for me, it's a thing of debunking all the things that people feel like they're not going to be able to do on shrooms. That's one. And then 2, I like the confidence building in myself to be like, you know what? I was off this many grams and I was still doing this, right? Fully functional. Like, I'm testing life skills at this point. I'm shooting archery. I'm swimming. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to do more shit where I'm testing life skills. Not only for the purpose of survival, but for the purpose of polishing and for the purpose of, you know what I'm saying, pushing through a feeling. Let's say I'm in a situation where I need to utilize a life skill, but I don't feel good. Okay, if I could do this while I'm tripping, I could definitely do this even when I don't feel good. Like, that's the reassurance that I need. Like, you can still do this, right? Also, too, in my mind, there is a such thing as maxing out, because the frequency at which you do shrooms contributes to the type of tolerance that you build on them. And you can build a tolerance for shrooms very quick. Not to the point where they don't work, because when you introduce psilocybin to the body, you're still getting all of those great benefits that I tell y'all about all the time. You know, the new pathways that are being built in your mind, the decrease in stress, the decrease in depression, the decrease in anxiety. You're still getting all of that even if you max out, because you're introducing psilocybin to the body and what it does chemically to your receptors. All those things are still happening regardless of how much you feel it or not, how high you are or not, how much of a tolerance you have or not. Those good things are always going to still happen. But, you know, there is a possibility of maxing out, which I think maxing out is good, because you take some time off from it, you come back to it, you revisit it. Now you're back in the game, coach. And then I also know that some people want to build their tolerance because they want to get to a point where they can start hallucinating. And I get that 100%. I think you should track your intake if that's what you're really trying to do, because you should be able to say, okay, I know that typically when I get to this many gram amounts, I should expect these type of effects, of which I can do, right? I tell y'all all the time, like, once I get to 4 grams, it's typical for me to start, you know, hallucinating, for me to start seeing walls breathing and inanimate objects moving, and you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. But I wouldn't know that if I didn't pay attention to how much I was consuming when I was consuming anything at all. So I'm saying all that to say is that if you're on this journey and you're trying to push limits, you're trying to test functionality the same way that I am, you're trying to see how far you can go, what you can do, and what your abilities are while under the influence of a substance, I think that y'all should just be very meticulous on documenting it and keep track of where you are in your progress. I know that this is not for everybody, and this is not a video to encourage anybody, but what I will say is that I feel that a lot of the tips that I'm giving y'all is not only for harm reduction, but it's also for the sake of being informed. Even if you're watching this video and you never do shrooms a day in your life, these tips that I'm giving you to help the next person. There's only really 6 degrees of separation between all people. No matter who you are and who somebody else is, there are only 6 degrees of separation. And knowledge is unlimited, and I feel like it should be shared. As I'm learning and growing, I hope that y'all are learning and growing too, and being in sponge mode when I'm giving y'all all these tips and these, you know, suggestions. But please understand, the root of this is for learning, the root of this is for exploration, the root of this is for harm reduction, and so that whether you choose to do it or don't, you still have the knowledge to help someone else who may or may not be curious, interested, or tripping in your presence. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, comment, like, and subscribe, and I will catch y'all on the flip side. Peace out.